You can't go back to Tuesday and earn it all over again, can you? So here's the question. If Wall Street celebrates because fewer people are being hired, consumers, what exactly is the market measuring as good? And look, I'm not trying to attack the markets. They have a place. They provide some liquidity, real profits, expectations, but your life is not lived inside of a market model. And the hidden truth is, where's my plank? The hidden truth is that rising asset prices do not automatically, sorry about that. Rising asset prices do not automatically mean that workers are gaining ground. That's the labor plank, and it's changing. So now we come to the third story. I got a little ahead of myself. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that the K-shaped economy is over. Maybe part of that is true. Some wage data has improved, but whenever someone gives you a number, the first question should be, well, what exactly are they measuring? Oh, did you take my ruler away? Sorry about that. What are they measuring? Because another set of numbers can tell a completely different story. So that chart, let me show it to you, this one. This chart shows you spending by income group. High income households are still driving much of the spending growth. Which story is true, frankly? Maybe both. And that's the point. A statistic can be accurate and still be incomplete. One number can show improvement, another can show the divide. And if you're making decisions with the money that represents your labor, incomplete information can be very dangerous. And so here's the hidden truth. Information does not have to be false to mislead you. Perception management. It can simply leave out what matters most. So what I'm suggesting you ask is, who's included? Who's excluded? What time period is being measured? Are we looking at wages, wealth, spending, debt, purchasing power, or survival? That is the information plank. Here's that plank. Now, I want to put all three stories together because they seem completely different, but not really. Ownership is moving toward digital dependency. Labor is moving toward digital mediation, and information is moving, this is the one that really bothers me the most, digital measurements. So it doesn't mean that technology is bad. It means the dependency is becoming less visible because it's moving into the new rails that are being built. Oops, can't see it there. The ship of Theseus, those new rails that are being built. The system doesn't have to take something away all at once. In fact, if they do, you'd notice. It changes the structure underneath it one plank at a time. That's why the ship of Theseus matters. One plank changes, then another, and another, and another, but the name stays the same. So people assume the thing itself is still the same. That's how money changes from the asset to a claim on the asset to debt itself. Physical money became claims, claim became debt, debt is becoming even more so, digital entries. Now, ownership, labor, and information are all moving deeper into the digital systems. The money changed, but the name stayed the same. Now, look at where some of the money goes when confidence is tested. It goes toward gold. But even here, the ownership question follows us, right? A gold ETF, that's not physical gold in your possession. A gold futures contract, That's not physical gold in your possession. They may serve a purpose, but that's exposure. And exposure is not the same thing as direct ownership. So the question remains, what do I actually own? What must perform before I can use it? Is this why self-sovereignty matters? And we need all of those elements: food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. That answer to digital dependency, it's not fear, it's resilience. And community creates surety. You don't have to do everything alone. Local relationships, skills, and local trust. Well, we saw this when my good friend George Gammon went down to South America with gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Once he was in his community that knew him, things became so much easier. But look at this. Sound money, that's part of the foundation. Physical gold and silver, you have to have it in your possession. That's not the first question. It's never should be what should I buy? The better question is, what must my wealth be able to do for me and the people I love? And if that question is now coming up for you, our strategy specialists are here to continue the conversation, understand what you're trying to protect and your goals, and then help position you into the physical gold and silver that supports those goals. It's not rocket science. And if you believe future generations deserve redeemable sound money back in the global monetary system again, join us in the Sound Money movement. Follow the Sound Money Hour. And we're not ready for this yet, but there's more things that are coming in to help you make those educated choices that puts your best interest first. We need to keep watching these planks change together. We started with 3 headlines: Bitcoin, jobs, and the K-shaped economy. But underneath were 3 changing planks: ownership, information, and labor. The name is the same. The dependencies changed. Can you see that pattern? Because here's the question that I really want to leave you with. If the names still look familiar, while the dependencies underneath them keep changing, what are you still trusting because it feels the same? What will you own, protect, and build now that you can see that pattern? You going to do anything different? So please share this with someone you care about and tell me in the comments, what planks do you think are changing the fastest? And now I will take questions. And we start with one of Sari's clients. If I buy a stock in Taiwan in today's fiat currency and there is a reset, will I have a smaller stock position? Nope, you'll still have the same number of stocks. They will just be worth a whole lot less in terms of the currency. This was one of the things that I really started me on currency life cycles, because it was 1987 when I was a stockbroker at Shearson. And I happened to stumble across non-dollar denominated bonds, which is basically the question you're asking me. And a non-dollar denominated bond is simply a bond that was issued in a different currency. So part of what matters, you didn't ask me this question, you asked me a reset question, but part of it, if you're working in a stock or a bond that is issued in different denominations, then you have to be more aware of the foreign exchange and how that flows. When I stumbled across non-dollar denominated bonds, I was mostly drawn toward the New Zealand bond because I found, are you kidding me, a 5-year piece of paper, AAA rated at 12.75%. Now, at the time, equivalent treasuries were paying something like, don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure it was at about 8 or 8.5%. So to get a 5-year piece of paper, AAA rated at 12.75, this was huge, but it paid in New Zealand dollars. And so I didn't really understand anything about that at the time. But back in the 80s, when all of this globalization and everything was happening, as a stockbroker at Shearson, I had full access to the head of any trading desk. So I called the head of currency trading. And I said, I really need to understand this before I start placing clients in there. What do I need to know? And that woman started my lessons on currencies and how that whole piece worked. And then looking at that big pattern, because easily for about 1.5 years, that was the first call I made every day, was to the head of currency trading at Shearson. And we would discuss it, and she would give me a lesson, and then she would give me homework. And at night I'd go home and I'd study the homework, and I'd do that. And the next morning she'd test me on it, and then we'd move on and move on and move on. I mean, it was the best training I could have ever gotten. And the reason why I started having the ability to see, wow, currencies have a life cycle. They have a repeatable pattern. And so look, they always want you to think that this time is different. But I don't really think that it is, because the systems can change, but they're changing the planks underneath. They don't want you to know that it's just the same. But I want you to know it, because if you don't understand that, how in the world can you make an educated choice that actually puts your best interest first? You can't. And it talks about what we were talking about. They don't have to do a lie, right? All they have to do is omit information. I want you to have all of the information. You can absolutely disagree with me. And if you do that, having all of the information that you need to make an educated choice, I'm going to tell you, I will support your ability to do that against anybody. And I won't be insulted because you disagree with me. This is all about the education and the educated choices. So thank you for that question, because it's very important. And that's what would happen. You'd have the same number. It's just the underlying value of that, because you can only turn it back into this. That's what goes down. And at the same time, when the reset, then that's when gold, physical gold, begins its entry into its fundamental value. Dave Suta, my biggest problem with owning gold is you can't sell it. Nobody wants it. Are you flipping kidding me? Do you have those pyramids easily accessible? I want the gold pyramid. Actually, I'm really glad that you asked that question, Dave, because there are 33 separate global users of physical gold. And there are 36. There we go. That's what I wanted to show you. Now, look, I know that writing is really small on the side. Call us. The strategy specialist can send it to you. You can read every single entity that uses physical gold. So gold and physical silver. Do you have the silver one? Pretty easy right there. Okie dokie. Here's the silver one. 36. This is not even a definitive list. That's all that I could count. So there could very well be more. So that is an absolutely inaccurate, but I'm glad you made that statement, because people watch the spot contract, the futures contract go up and down and up and down and up and down. That's a trade. That's not the physical. Gold is the most, and silver too, the most liquid assets, because they have the broadest base of functionality and the broadest base of demand. 33, 36, 1. So guess what? When demand in this goes away, it has zero value. This happens to be a $500 million Bolivar note from Venezuela. It has more value as a napkin for an empanada than it does as a currency to buy stuff. I can't buy anything with this at all. And if you remind me, I actually have that image, and we should probably put this in the library, of a bill being used as a wrapper for an empanada, right? So do not confuse numbers with value, and do not assume that when you're looking at Wall Street's trading market, because everything is a trade. I am setting up to do that piece. I've been wanting to do it for a while, and so I'm going to do it this weekend, so that you can start to see the underlying truth. Because if you believe the lies, how in the world can you get into the proper position? You can't. You can't. So great. These are great questions today. Oh, Sari has another question, client question. Some prominent people do not believe in buying collectible gold, just buy bullion. What is their argument on not taking advantage of the dual appreciation of the collectibles? I don't think that they understand the market and the threat between bullion gold and collectible gold. And actually, is that the one that's coming out on Saturday? I believe it is. I believe it is. There's one thing I'm going to tell you, and I know they don't look different now, but they're going to. They are going to. Maybe not just yet, but very near in the future. Because I am doing the hidden truths of money. And the first one was the Ship of Theseus. And so if you haven't watched that, it's got a really bad thumbnail, which is "You Are Losing Money." Okay, we're going to fix that and put it back out there. And I'm telling you, because if you did watch it, you don't have to watch it again. But my bet would be if you do, you'll get more out of it the second time. But these hidden truths of money are critically important, because I'm taking you deep in and I'm showing you in each one of them why I have been saying forever that I have been groomed for this moment in time. And we're looking at all of these things in a very deep way so that you understand it. Bullion certainly has its advantages, right? What is it? It's like, well, all gold is super liquid, so it's not that. But hey, it kind of follows the spot market, so you can see it going up and down. It's standardized. It's easy to put that in IRAs or retirement accounts. But because it is standardized, it's also easier to confiscate and manipulate. So make sure and let me know. Let me know if you're noticing a change in my work, because I keep testing that. And remember too, I might prepare something and record it. And once I record it, I kind of forget what I just did. So I might be talking about something that might not quite have come out yet. But please, 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 things are changing here, and they're getting better and better and better. I hope you see that, because it's so important for me to help you understand, so that when you go up against somebody and they go, "Oh, just buy bullion." Well, there's a reason why you might buy that. And I'm not saying, hey, if you have the physical gold in your possession, I'd rather you do that than have nothing at all. But understand the difference and make sure that you are appropriately diversified. What if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? And make sure you watch that. I'm going into Uncle Al and Aunt Bertie much deeper in this. And I'm telling you, these are my therapy sessions. That's what I'm discovering from this. And I'm exhausted. I'm not going to lie, because I'm kind of obsessed with this. But I'm loving this. And I think my work has gotten about 5 gazillion times better. I told you I was changing a corner. And I am. So could you please explain the difference between money and currency? That's from Colleen Allen, 3382. Is there a difference, or are they the same thing? They are not the same thing. This and this is money. And it's money because because it's got 33 different global users and 36 different global users, and they have not been able to figure out how to recreate what physical gold and silver bring to the economy, the electric conductivity, etc. They have not figured out how to duplicate gold and silver in a lab, and they've been trying that for thousands and thousands of years. So this is money, and it is above the government's ability to inflate away. What they did, I'll do this again, and I just did it in a video that we just recorded. So, and you've seen me do this a gazillion times. This is the asset. It's the asset because it's used everywhere. Globally, everybody has agreed that this is money, and it's indestructible. Its purchasing power is indestructible, and the commodity itself is indestructible. So when they pull this out of the ground, all that labor and that energy that took to pull it out of the ground, it's still there. And because it's indestructible, I can convert this into anything else. And what does it do? It holds that energy for use in 33 different areas of the global economy. So that's money. But when we held this money, and actually this is true today, once you hold this in your possession, you actually now have money that is outside the banking system. Very important, because that's what gives you your power. That's what gave it to us, before 1933. And that's what's giving it to us today. It's still performing the same function. But they didn't like that, because they, being governments and then certainly central bankers, they didn't like that because then you held the power. So they brought out this, and there's a little gold mark right there. So certainly these must be the same things. And you could walk into any bank with this piece of paper and walk out with the asset. So this is a claim on the asset, because I could walk into the bank with this and walk out with the asset itself. But at the same time, this is actually not the one, but at the same time, they came out and issued the Federal Reserve notes, all from corporate debt. That's what this is, corporate debt. Look at how similar this looks to this. Pretty similar, right? The only difference is it doesn't have that little round thing, does it? Right? So this is not convertible. This is just a promise to pay. This is currency. So that's how they make the transitions. They make things look normal. They all, for 20 years, they all spent at the register the same way. But this is a currency. And the more of this that they create, the less value all of the currency out there has. We have been trained to think of this as money. It's not money because it's easy to devalue. And that is their plan. And that was their plan from the beginning. I remember in some of my research, and I haven't gone back to find this quote, but I should. I should. I've got a lot work to do, but I should. Because I was amazed when I saw this. When they were setting up the Federal Reserve System, what they actually said in the meaning the government and the new central bankers that were coming in. Okay, governments wanted to have the ability to tax you without you realizing it. And on a gold standard, you realized it. It was very obvious. But if they could make this money spend less, they would get it, that inflation tax. I'll come back to this. Corporations wanted to pay you less. But if you were used to getting $10, you're not going to likely accept 5 without a fight. By building inflation into the system, the government and corporations got what they wanted. And they actually said, if people have to work harder just to maintain their standard of living, they will have less time to pay attention to what we're doing. Time for you to pay attention. That's what I do. That's what I'm trying to help you do. And I think that my job is showing you the systems underneath and how these planks are changing so that you can get into a position, not just to survive them, but to, I don't know what a concept, actually thrive through them and actually have the ability to help the people that you love. What a concept. So no, this is money, and it's the only money that's not been created by man. Oops, I need to move this a little bit out of the way. This is currency. And so is this. And one more question for you, then I'll move on. This is what I want. What's the difference between this and this? Yes, it's a different color and it has a different number on there. But the only difference is that you're willing to work for this. Try to save it. Count on your future with that. Does this hold the value of my work? Currency does not hold the value of your work. Does this hold the value of my work? 100%, and it's done it for thousands of years. If you're holding it, you own it outright. Who's controlling the rails on this? Yeah, they can control the spot market, but they can't change the fundamental value or the demand of this. That's the whole point. That's the whole flipping point. And look at this K-shaped economy. If we were still on the gold standard, that would not be happening. But corporations got their wish. They pay you workers less and less and less and less. This, my friends, is what enabled the K-shaped economy. Come back next week I don't think it'll be a changing plank, so I don't know if we'll actually put it out next week. But come back for my deep dive, and you will see that hopefully I'm doing this better. And you're very welcome, Colleen. Thank you for the question. And Nathan Patel, 1786, can you possibly make a YouTube episode on gold storage options at home or outside? Yeah, why don't you take that down, and I will put that into the rotation. And Belzonanan from Facebook. Do you think the Iraqi dinar is worth investing in? Hold it until the revaluation ain't going to happen. One of Ceres International. Oh, okay. Okay. No. Historically, and remember, there's over 4,800 times that the same thing has happened, including with the Iraqi dinar. There is no way on God's green earth that once they have demonetized a currency, that same currency comes back remonetized, because it had no value to begin with. They already shifted you. All the planks changed. They already shifted you into a new system. I have lots of this stuff. I don't pay much for it. I guarantee you I don't. But I like to show it to you as an example. I probably do have an Iraqi dinar in here. No, it is not coming back as a currency. And I will put my technical neck and everything that I know about currencies and currency life cycles on that. Nope, ain't coming back. I'm sorry. And this is from one of Ceres International clients. Will I be able to liquidate a collectible gold coin in India with any of your vendors, or would I have to ship the coin to the US? Okay, so let's take it. There's more to this, but let me answer that one first. There is definitely a way on a global basis for you to execute the entire strategy. Personally, we don't have that global vendors that we can sell it back to completely set up yet. This is something that we're working on. However, that does not mean that you can't execute the strategy. on a collectible coin, quite honestly, the way that we have to do it, because it's going to have to be organized in such a fashion, because our job on the way out is to maximize your benefit. And so we have to look at there's a whole bunch of different ways that we can do that, right? So I can't count on the mail, or no offense intended, but even you sending it back in a timely way to make sure that we can do all of that. Having said that, we are set up with a local vault. We don't own anything that's in there, and nor do we want to. However, that is a way that you can execute the strategy without having to worry about shipping, and makes it easier for us to fully execute that strategy for you. So have that conversation with Sari. I mean, look, the US numismatic, the collectible market is a global market, no doubt about it. But we are executing a strategy here. So we can help you wherever you are in the world. What you need near you is your barterable part of the portfolio, or even some of that more bullion, like this is a pre-33 coin. Yeah, this is, this isn't. This is a piece of bullion. Who knew? Okay. But this is a piece of bullion, and there's a reason why you would have this. So if you're having something for like emergency or something like that, but definitely the first part of your strategy, where your barterable part, that you need right near you. You do, because when you need it just like that. The rest, the growth part of it, not necessarily so necessary that you have it, but is necessary to have it in a private vault, and you own one of the keys, and nobody else can access it without that. So there is a way to do it. Shipping the collectibles to India, it would not be a recommendation that we should make if you want to execute the strategy. If you want to keep it for legacy, that's different. But if you're actually executing a thorough strategy, that's different too. And by the way, I have done some work. Oh yeah, that's in, that's also in the video that's coming out on Saturday, my Uncle Al video. So make sure that you watch that. And then on Tuesday, sit there with any questions come up for you, write it down. Let's talk about it. That's what these lives are about. And wait, did I answer the whole question? What's the whole process going to look like in terms of handing over? Okay, so so I basically have answered this question. However, having said that, I am doing more work for clients only that will go into all of this in much deeper fashion. Give me a minute, because I am only one person, but I've already begun the process. So stay tuned, that's coming soon. And Ernest DeBella, rock and roll doomlu poochie coo. Sorry for missing last. I wondered where you were. I even brought you up. Why did I bring him up last week? Oh, because the question that you asked, is that going out this week? I've answered your question, Ernest.
Went out on Saturday.
Oh, that went out on Saturday. So I don't know if you saw that or not, but that's okay. We missed you. Can I send you some of my high heat tolerant tomato seeds for your garden? I'm getting 5-gallon buckets of Tom's tomatoes every other day. God bless. Absolutely. We would love that. Thank you so much. And Balzona Nan from Facebook. Thank you, Lynette. I've been stacking gold, silver for 5 to 6 years, thanks to you. Also, off-grid living and adding food to my land. You rock. Oh my gosh. And have you noticed a difference, you guys? I hope so, because I've been working on it so hard. I've been working on it nonstop. I feel like I'm like on this sugar rush, but that's how exciting what's happening is. So I'm very happy. Thank you so much. SQ7944. How is it that people love to buy all sorts of antiques, art, collectibles graded pre-33 gold? Oh, wait a minute. How is it that people love to buy all sorts of antiques, arts, collectibles graded pre-33 gold is such a point for people to comprehend? Now, let's see if I can't figure that out. It is really interesting, isn't it? And I mean, you saw my behind me. I mean, thank you, Uncle Al. That's all I can say. Please watch this video and let me know. And I think that the next one that is coming out, should I give them a teeny preview? I will if Jessica says yes, because she's kind of the director.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you put all my stuff?
Which steps?
Oh, never mind. I can't do it. She's putting all these props away.
It's efficiency.
It's efficiency. Yeah, it is. Okay. Anyway, I was pretty much crying when I was doing it this morning. This is so personal to me. And I want to thank you guys because we've had this conversation that I have been groomed for this moment in time. That does not mean that my life was always easy, because mostly it wasn't. I was a single mom raising twin daughters by myself. And so I have had a very interesting life. And when I say that I've been groomed for this moment in time, going back and showing you how, what a journey. What a journey. I'd been trying to figure out for years, how can I use these stories? How can I use this? I figured it out. I'm going to give it all to you. And we're not quite there yet, but I want you to know that when you see a hidden truth video, like the one a couple Saturdays ago, not last Saturday, the one before, and then the one that's coming out this Saturday, so it'll probably come out every other week. I'm going in much deeper and I'm writing about it. And I'm really, this is like, I don't need a therapist. This is my therapy. So if you really want to understand who I am, what I'm about, and how I've been groomed for this moment in time, between the PowerPoint videos and this deep writing, which will let you know when you have access to it, you'll know. But it's very, very personal to me, and I'm so glad that I'm getting to use it. I'm even gonna open up those notebooks that I kept all those years ago, which I've been scared to do, and I'm going to even open those up. So thank you guys, because you've given me a reason to do it. And Mona 1930 asks, what is the deal with the data centers? Will they accelerate inflation by draining resources? I'm going to tell you that I'm working on a piece. I've already started it. That will be out next week. So Mona, if you just hold that question, oh no, that won't be out next week. I'll be done with it next week. If you can pull that for me, let me, when I'm done with this, I'll do like a little synopsis of it and give it to you next week. So make sure that goes on to the piece for next week. Or I might just do a little 5-minute piece outside of that. I don't know how I'm going to handle it yet, so bear with me, but I'll give you a little bit. I'll answer that question. And Ernest DeBella, Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, Lynette, I can't afford a collector gold. My current strategy is accumulate silver with some fractional gold. And when I hit silver milestone, I trade for gold. When my gold hits milestone, trade up to collector gold. And yes, I saw the video on Saturday. Did you notice a difference? Because that's my worst best piece. What do you think? I'm curious about that. And Ernest, I hope that you and everybody watching this really build community around you, because then whatever your holes are, when you're inside a community, somebody else can fill those holes. Community is arguably the most important thing that I ever talk about, really, because no one person can do it all. That's okay to do it that way, Ernest. It really is. It is. And Nathan Patel, 1786, why buy life insurance when the death benefit is given in US dollars? I don't. You know, there's a reason for all of this. I used to have a term life insurance policy so that if something happened to me and I still had my mortgage or any debts that I might have had at the time that I died, I didn't want to put those debts onto my children and make them have to consider it. So I took on enough term life insurance to cover that piece, right? And it really, it's an insurance policy. Of course, when I turned, well, and by the time, and I could only have it, I think, till I was 68, and then it went away. But by then it didn't really matter because I don't really have any debts. The little bit of mortgage that I have is so that I can execute that strategy with you. But I certainly have enough gold to bam, 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 pay that mortgage off just like that. So, you know, the reason why you might make that choice, and look, talk to us, we'll take a look at it, depends on your age and your circumstance and your goals. Mine, when I took it out, I was, you know, I wasn't even 68 yet because I think it only lasted until I was 68 and then I couldn't have it anymore. But my goal for it was to make sure that if I died leaving debts, that those debts could be paid by that life insurance policy. I didn't care about the dollars above that. And I just took out enough to cover that, to cover the mortgage. I really don't carry a lot of debt anyway, but I wanted to make sure that it didn't fall onto my children. So that's a reason to do it. But just cheap term, don't let them talk into whole life or any of that other stuff. It's what is this tool supposed to do for me? And who controls the rails, right? Does it really help my life or the people that I love? Does it help their life move forward? So these are the questions that we're asking, that we should be asking, because these are the questions that help us make educated choices. We've been taught not to ask these questions. We've been taught to think about this stuff as money. It's not money, it's currency. And you might have noticed that occasionally I'll forget. And then what do? I remind myself. So even this is something they've drilled into you since you were a child. This takes us back to our paradigm shift cards. Remember, 2 dimes, same denomination, completely different substance. The day that we bought this 1 dime that's 90% silver cost us $6.72. The new dime, 10 cents. That's all it has is face value. It's never going up in value. It's just about the face. Same name, different substance. Make sure that your substance underneath your life is solid. Neo the Wise asks, does the bid or online coin price include the spread, or is it on top of the final numbers while liquidating the coins to Z? No, it's already there. There's nothing in addition, none at all. And there is no fees or anything in that liquidation anyway. 0 zip zilch. So you get 100%. Whatever the wholesaler is going to give us, that all goes to you. Not even 1 penny more comes to us. Nothing. And Smiley 888-1239. Explain legacy gold and how it will help the beneficiaries, please. Okay, so what I'm really talking about when I say legacy gold is I'm talking about dynastic wealth. And that is wealth that has lasted in families at least 300 years. And it includes 3 legs. Let's see, real estate, truly rare collectibles, and gold, right? And gold as money enables you to accumulate the other 2. But you can think about the King of England. What do they have? What makes them so wealthy? They have real estate, rare collectibles, and gold. They transition from generation to generation. So you can do all three with gold, by the way, because you can have a gold mine, which actually, I know I shouldn't maybe say this, and it's not a working mine anyway, but I actually do own a gold mine. Do we have the piece? No, that might still be at the house. And a rare collectible, a gold rare collectible or a silver rare collectible, truly rare, or even a very rare, this would be more appropriate, a very rare collectible gold coin. So a legacy coin is very low in population, which means there's not a whole lot of those exist at all. Maybe under 100 or even less than that. And it's the kind of gold, you still don't need to pay above fundamental value, but it's the kind of gold that you would want to pass down like King Charles has. That was passed down from his mother. This is the kind of thing that he has, generation to generation to generation, so that your family and those future generations always have a foundation of wealth. So that's what a legacy coin is. It's a super low population coin with, and it could even have more blemishes. The mint state is not quite as important in that as the population is. So it's a little bit more complicated, but talk to our strategy specialists. They'll make sure that whatever your goals are supported by any of the metals choices that you make. And also I'll go back to this, and maybe we should just have a sign that comes up. If I answer a question and you still don't understand it, I hope you know that's on me. That's not on you. My job is to explain this in a way that helps you understand it. That's why I keep asking, have you noticed anything? Have you noticed anything? Because that's what I think I might be getting better at. That has been a quest of mine for, oh my God, a gazillion years. And Paul Chavez 5191 asks, do you swap silver for gold and gold for silver? No, I do not. I lay out my strategy. First, I lay out my goals. What am I trying to accomplish? Do I want to make sure that I can sustain my standard of living? So that is like fractional gold and fractional silver, depending upon what you need. If you're going to buy gas in the car, you're totally going to do that with silver. If you have an ongoing medical issue that you need to take care of, you're going to do that with fractional gold. So we have that all lined out, and we can determine it, and we can determine how much gold, barterable gold do you need, how much barterable silver do you need. Then we're going to look at whatever fiat money wealth you have managed to accumulate and either choose to keep in the markets, or you have no choice about keeping them in the markets. And we're going to make sure that you're properly diversified. So since you don't control your access to that stuff, if that access goes away, it's not a problem for you. And if it goes to zero, it's not a problem for you. What if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? That's what it's all about. We're going to take a look at all of your fixed rate debt and make sure that you have enough of the right kind of gold to, when we get that first overnight reset, bam, get rid of that fixed rate debt. Then you go into the opportunity positioning, and then you go into the legacy positioning. So that's why understanding what you're trying to accomplish has to come first, way before product. It's the right tool for the job, but what's the job, right? A lot of people will just randomly buy without really thinking about what I want to accomplish. And so you can have a bunch of pile of metals and still have a level of vulnerability. It's better than not having them at all, no doubt about that. But you could be more vulnerable than you realize. And so inside of the strategy, or inside of your personal strategy, you just want to make sure that you have covered all of your vulnerabilities. And that's what the sound money strategy does. It covers all your vulnerabilities, and it does it in a full loop, right? And the reason is because your barterable position is purely designed to be used up. If you use up principal, what do you have to use to regain your purchasing power or your share? You don't. That's why, for people that are carrying debt instruments because it pays a dividend and it pays you, I don't know, 4% or 5% or something like that. Why are you risking 95% of your wealth to capture 4% gains? I don't know. You should write that down. I need to do something on that so people can see what I'm saying with that more clearly, because I'm hearing it come out of my mouth and I'm going, that might not be as clear as it needs to be. So I need to address that. So no, I do not swap my gold and silver back and forth. I really don't care. What I care about is that my family and I and the people that I love and care about are protected in the way that supports their goals. So not only do I have enough of a barterable position for myself, but I also have it for both of my daughters. And Zero Game Sins. Hi, your assessment of Saudi Turk Pact Defense Pact. I believe it's the expansion of your localized economy logic. Together, they got money, energy, gold, labor, tech manufacturing, geography, and trade routes. I should look at that. I'll look at that. Do you just make them red, like who it is? Yeah, then it's easy to see. That's good. She's such a smarty pants. And DeJohn M7Z, I'm a beginner. How can I make high profits having just $5,000 to invest? Well, you see, this is a great question because you need to understand, no matter what choices you're making, you need to understand the true fundamental value of what an asset is really worth. Because if you don't know what that is, how in the world can you know if something's undervalued, fairly valued, or overvalued? Therefore, do I want to buy it? Do I want to hold it? Do I want to liquidate it? So can you pull up the purchasing power chart? And I'm particularly wanting him to see the true value that the Federal Reserve says is of the dollar. So that's the one on the bottom left corner. So you could pull that up, and then if we could zoom just so he can see where that's coming from. This, DeJohn, is my, can you scroll it down just a little bit so they can see the header? No, the other way, so they can see what it is. There you go. Okay. This is my absolute favorite chart. And if they told me that I could only work with one chart, it would be this one because it's more honest and I can tell the whole story of the currency just in this one chart. So this is from the Fred, at which make that one of your favorite websites, by the way, everybody out there. And then in the search bar, just put whatever you want. It's very eye-opening. But this is the purchasing power of the consumer dollar. Now, can you go down? And this is according to the Federal Reserve. This is Fred's Federal Reserve Education Department. And can you zoom in on the zero? So if you look at the left-hand axis, it's on the left. It's not, yeah, there you go. And I want you to make that zero big so they can see it. You're in the right, you're in the right place. But you're not going to do it that way. You got to make it bigger. We'll figure this out. No, can you just zoom in and make the chart bigger? There you go. That's good. Now go down so they can see the zero. See it? See that nice little zero all the way down on the bottom axis? The Federal Reserve is telling you that this stuff has no value. It doesn't. It's a promise to pay. And that's showing you how they have taken away the purchasing power. So this is what I want you to think of, DeJohn. If you can only convert whatever it is that you're doing into this, then that's what the real trend is. What is happening with the dollars if you're in the US or the yen in Japan, which I did a piece on, so you'll see that soon. or the euro or wherever you are, the true fundamental value of any government debt-based currency like this $10 trillion Zimbabwe note is zero. So you have to be conscious if I'm going to trade this, right? Because that's the real trend. They want you to see the numbers going up, but what it really is the value of what those numbers can buy going down. That's what my work is all about, to help you see it. Now, on the flip side, okay, think about it. This stuff, we think of this as money. They've trained us to think of this as money. It's not money, it's fiat currency. But this is sound money, physical gold in your possession, right? Who controls the rails of this? Government policy, central bank money printing, private corporations. That's why it loses value. It benefits them and it hurts you, but you don't complain because you don't know it. This is all counterparty risk. And the purchasing power chart, there's your risk, because it will go to zero when all confidence in the currency is lost. And that's coming up soon. This is sound money. So you could kind of think that it's the same thing, but it's the flip side of the coin. This holds your purchasing power intact because it's used in every single sector of the global economy. So it has the broadest base of functionality and the broadest base of demand. So what's the fundamental value of this? How do you know what that is? Do we by any chance have that formula up there? Because I recently updated it. No, I don't think so, but that could be one that we put up there because this topic comes up enough. We're figuring this out. We'll get better and better for you. But it's simple, really. It's quite simple. How do we create this? Debt. This is a debt-based system. So the way that money's created is you go in and you take out a mortgage, a corporation issues corporate bonds, a government issues treasury bonds, sovereign bonds. That's how money's created in this system. Debt, because all bonds, notes, bills, those are all debt instruments. And so is this, admittedly so. Federal Reserve note. Well, a note is a debt instrument. It's not money. So if you want to know the true fundamental value of this, you just take all the debt that's been issued. I just did that. It's the IIF publishes all global debt. And I don't hold me to this because obviously I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was something like $325 trillion in global debt. And then, since this is indestructible and we can account for pretty much all the gold that's ever been mined, you say, how much gold is there? And then you just divide all the debt by all the gold, and that gets you to fundamental value, which I just did this. I don't remember what I did it for, but I just updated everything. And I'm pretty sure now somebody's going to go squawk, but wait, Lynette, you just said this and now it's this. If I'm off a little bit, I don't think it really matters. I'm going to get you close enough. And when I just calculated that out, just based on above ground gold, not in ground gold as well, it came out to, I think, something like $45,000 an ounce or something like this. So if it's at 4,400 or 4,500 or 4,300 or 10,000 or 20,000, if it's really worth 48,000 or whatever that number is, if it's worth a lot more than that, then it's undervalued. And I cannot give you a lot of guarantees, but this one I can give you. Thank you, Uncle Al. At some point, all assets, all instruments go to their true fundamental value. So if the fundamental value of this is going to zero, which is why I can sit here with this $20 bill and this $10 trillion bill as well, right? They just keep making the bills bigger. The numbers get bigger. Do I have more? No, I can't even buy one egg with this. I can't buy anything with it, even though it says 10 trillion. So don't this is something I can encourage you, especially if you're a beginner. Do not get blinded by numbers. Understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish. You want to make high profits. Well, the way that you make high profits is being strategic. Because I'm thinking that if you're buying stocks, bonds, cryptos, even real estate right now for speculation, because you got to have a place to live. So I'm talking about speculation here. You're buying an extraordinarily overvalued market and the rats are jumping ship. Wait till you see what I have planned to work on this weekend. I can't wait. I'm chomping at the bit to do it. And I'm hoping I don't do it tonight because I got to rest a little bit in here. I know you're shaking your head. You want to position into gold and silver and be patient. And don't worry about the manipulated COMEX, right? Look at the fact that no matter what's happening with the spot price up or down or sideways, it doesn't matter. That's a trade. We're not talking about a trade. We're talking about a strategy. We're talking about a foundation. You get your foundation built first. Then you want to speculate? Rock and roll hoochie coo because you're protected. What if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? Why not be in a position where it really doesn't matter if you're right or wrong? And keep bringing those questions. And Jay, and let me know, if you start watching my work and you don't understand something, that's why I do these live. Bring those questions because I am here to be of service to you. Absolutely 100%. It's what I've been groomed to do. And Jay Maloto from Facebook says, what would be considered fractional amounts of silver and gold for barter or sustenance, etc.? I'm guessing 1 ounce isn't fractional, and you would be right. Where's my... Oh, we got to arrange these things so that when I'm looking for, like, where's my tray of junk silver? May I have it, please? Thank you. That's excellent. Okay. So this is a dime, a pre-64 dime, which is 90% silver. That's barterable. So you're right. Anything less. And the same thing with gold. This happens to be a $1 gold coin. You can see how little it is. And I might even point out, well, I don't have it here, but I might point out that this coin says dollar on it. So does this. So people think they're the same. At one point, that $1 bill was equal to this, as was this 1 ounce of silver is also $1. The name stays the same. The substance changes. You can't buy this for $1. You can't buy this for $1. I don't even know if you can buy $1 for $1. I guess you can, but it doesn't. But you saw the purchasing power chart. It doesn't spend the same anymore. So the fractionals are anything less than an ounce. And the reason why I was looking for this, okay, gold and silver in any form are monetary at its base. So you might have Aunt Bessie's old sterling silver flatware. Well, guess what? That's 92.5% pure. And it does not matter what the condition is. It can be tarnished. It can be bent and broken. It doesn't matter at all. It's still, at the end of the day, an ounce of silver, or 92.5. So I want you to keep that in mind. All of this is barterable. I mean, I've collected this stuff forever. I've got a ton of it. I love it. That's also would be fractional, because I really would not have any trouble at all clipping off this little iced teaspoon, although it's kind of cool because it's got a little straw, but that's its function. And Smiley 8881239 asks, is legacy gold for the grandkids, great grandkids, etc., to spend, borrow against, or pass down? Well, I often think that after I leave this planet, I would like to watch what they're doing, but I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be able to control it. So it is actually for them to pass down so that they always have a foundation of wealth. You can't control what they're going to do. And I can tell you that the experience for many very wealthy families was that it took a lifetime to build the wealth and it only took one generation to lose it. So hopefully, along with that passing down is the education that goes with it so that your heirs and their heirs do not make stupid choices. That's beyond our control if we're not here. Other than passing down, because all of this work that I'm doing is also a legacy. But yeah, it's not really for them to spend. Now, if you have barterable gold and silver, that could be part of your legacy, and then you would earmark it, and that would be, if they needed it, they could convert it into whatever currency system happened to be available at that time. But the legacy gold is the low population. And that's not really for them to spend. That would be the kind of thing that could go through a Christie's or a Sotheby's, right? Up at that level. So then whatever the fiat, hopefully we have sound money back in the system. That'd be not a completely different story because you don't want to spend legacy. If you spend it, it's gone. You want to pass it down from generation to generation. That's why dynastic wealth is wealth that has remained in families at least 300 years. And zero game sense. You saw a yen story, right? Yep. How now the JCB takes U.S. Treasuries to Fed's FEMA to use it as collateral to get more U.S. dollars. That is exactly. I just recorded that this morning. How is this going to affect the dollar? Is this worse than QE or smart way to kick the can? I don't think it's such a smart way. It just builds up more and more and more tension in the system. It is a way to kick the can down because they're loaning them money so they don't spend, or they don't rather sell the treasuries that they're already holding on to. But the reality is that Japan and China as well had started selling off and not buying as much treasuries since 2008. I've shown that chart before. So in many ways, there is a slow run on the dollar, but yes, it is a circular loop. Same thing's happening with AI, the hyperscalers. They'll loan you the money that you then take it and buy their product. So that looks like it's good on your books and good on their books. It's not. It creates a dependency because the only thing that we can do is print more money so that they don't sell our treasuries. And then we have to create more treasuries to create that money so they don't sell our treasuries. It's circular and it's dangerous. And so I'm glad that you brought that up because that was a very big story. And I just did a piece on that this morning. Yeah. Good eye. And I love it because when you bring me these things, maybe I missed it. That gives me a chance to go in and look at what you're talking about. How do I feel about gold mine stocks? That's from Gulab. And I'm sorry if I butcher anybody's name. It's a stock. And while I generally don't have an issue around, it's just where we are in the trend cycle right now. If you own a gold stock, you don't own gold. You own a stock, and that means that you own all the debts around it. And well, you don't own that either. You don't even really own a stock because it's held for you in street name. And so your intermediaries are using that to borrow against, like lots and lots and lots and lots of layers on it. I'll be doing something on that again soon. But I'm not there at this time. And that is because there is zero doubt. I've studied currencies and currency life cycles since 1987. I don't need somebody to tell me what I need to be thinking. I understand this stuff. I'm so grateful that I've been a banker. I'm so grateful that I've been a stockbroker because I understand the language and I'm quite technical. I'm not doing mining stocks. I know I do a lot of mining shows and I love miners. And I think that that's great But this is a currency life cycle issue. And therefore, I want the real stuff in my possession. That's what I want. That's where I'm comfortable. You get to do anything you want, but that's what I do for me. I personally do not own any stocks. Have I missed the run? Sure. I don't own any cryptos either. Have I missed that run? Sure. Do I care? No, I don't care at all because I'm executing a strategy. So all of my wealth, all of it is in food, water, energy, security, barterability, which for me is primarily silver, but not completely. Wealth preservation, which for me is primarily gold, but not completely. I'll be doing more of this as we move forward. Community, again, arguably the most important part of it. It's what I'm trying to do here. And every time I travel, that's really what the focus and the goal is to create that help people create that local community, to create surety in all of those things. And the global community to fight to get sound money, redeemable gold back in the global monetary system again. This is our opportunity. I've never seen a better opportunity to make this happen. And we can do it. All you have to do is position some of this crap into sound money. Done. Easy peasy. Then you control the rails. You control the assets. You own the asset. No counterparty risk. I'm not saying it doesn't run any risk at all, but it does not run any counterparty risk. And that's according to the biggest bank of them all, the Bank for International Settlements. And SQ 7944 said, I watched a well-known tax attorney on YT interview a social security retirement content creator. How is it that it is assumed the system is staying solvent and you will have multiple sources during retirement? It isn't solvent. It hasn't been solvent. In fact, it went negative. I'm thinking 2010. I could be wrong. I see the chart in my mind. I'm pretty sure it was 2010. And that was a full 3 years before us baby boomers started to take Social Security. So it isn't solvent. And that means, look, when the claims, I got to write this one down myself. Okay, when the claims exceed their ability to pay those claims, it's perfect. They change what you can claim. They either honor, governments, central banks have to choose whether to honor the promise or change it. They always change it every single time. So if they said that it was solvent, I wouldn't go to that attorney or trust that retirement content creator because they haven't looked at the charts and the data. Look at the charts and the data for yourself. If you want me to do something on Social Security and retirement, let Jessica know. She'll set up the PowerPoint. But yeah, Social Security, it's a pay-as-you-go program, which means that like when you work and they take Social Security out of your check, well, you think that that's yours. It's not. It's not. That you are not guaranteed to benefit from it. That is an entitlement. But when they take it out of your paycheck, it's going to someone else. Except it's not really because they're really already underwater. I'll show you that. I might be able to do that one in a short, pretty easy. And Dances on Waves. I found in a thrift store 2 months ago 3 heavy, large, old-fashioned teapots that are stamped sterling silver. Oh, sterling silver over pure copper. Can those metals be melted and separated? Silver gets used up when you do that. Now, if you had said that it was gold, I'd say absolutely, because gold is indestructible. I'm not sure whether or not copper is indestructible, but it certainly has value. You know, I bring up when they were doing this office, I found this little piece of scrap copper. and it really brought back memories from me because my daddy was a developer, and as a child, 10, 11, 13, I'd go down to his job sites and I would pick up all the scrap copper, and then at night I would whittle off this plastic coating. And then my uncle Ali was a junk dealer. And I would go to him with all of this copper, and I would sell it to him by weight. And then I would go to Uncle Al, the antique dealer, and buy stuff. So there's a lot of value in copper. I don't know the answer to that, but I'm not even sure that that's necessary because most of it is copper. And so, and I have some of that because I have some of the stuff from my parents. That's not what I buy today, unless I want to use it for an event, because I do love those big, heavy silver trays. So if you ever come to an event here, you'll probably see them because I do have a bunch of those. But yeah. I'll tell you what, why don't you just take that question down? Can it be separated? And I will find out for you and get back to you. I don't know the answer to that though, because I've never really thought about it. And Silver J56 says, hi, Lynette. Great to see you at Red Pill. It was great seeing you too. Did we chat? I hope so. I'm developing a bug out community in Central America using our metals as the collateral instrument for the fiat loan to build. Need mechanics and logistics. So Silver, are you wanting us to put that word out there? Is that, I mean, I think that's fabulous. And the Red Pill event expo was phenomenal. And I hope, well, G. Edward wanted me to do some things for the university, which I said I would, but he hasn't gotten back to me on what he wants yet. But yeah, that was a great event. So, and it takes a community. So in my bug out location, I have farmers, I have carpenters, I have plumbers, I have doctors, I have a massage therapist. Very important. She's very important. All of that. So yeah, it takes a community, and this is fabulous. Let me know how it's going. And we're in Central America. If you want to share, you don't have to share, but if you want to, that'd be great. And Smiley 888123. And actually, I'm going to tell you this. If any of you have circumstances like that you think that I should, I don't know, see that you might want to actually even share on the channel, and you know that I'm going to be traveling someplace and it's near where I'm going to be, I'd really appreciate it if you let us know and do it sooner than later, because we have to plan these events very far in advance. And I really want to, this would be an opportunity. Like if that bug out is in, I'll just use an example. Let's say that you did it in Panama and we're going back to Panama. Well, then we could plan in going and seeing it and sharing that with our community. So just saying, I don't really have a lot of traveling planned other than the next one that's coming up is November 5th, right?
Yeah,
Beginning of November. And I'm doing the Nomad Capitalist. That'll be in Cancun. I'm super excited. I've already started to work on the presentation for that. It's going to, my goal is to do it at the level of the angels. That's my goal. That's what I keep telling myself. You've got to do this at the level of the angels. That's what you guys deserve. Nothing less than that. So that's what I'm trying to give you. But then the next, where do we go after that?
I believe we're in
Oh, that's here. And then I think it's George Gammon. Yeah, because we've got two events here. And then we've got the George Gammon event. And that's going to be in May in Orlando. So
what's currently slated.
that's, yes. But, when I talked to George, he said it'll be the same. But you have to remember, if you're going to talk, you have to talk into the mic because they can't hear you. So those are the two events that I have outside of not being in Phoenix scheduled. And Smiley8881239 asks, do goldbacks have a place in your strategy? Absolutely. The place where goldbacks fit into the strategy would be as part of the cash position, because the initial, right, when you need liquidity like this, part of that is the cash. And part of it, I don't have the goldbacks here, but that's where the goldbacks fit. Not for all of that, but certainly for a part of it, because you can have, 1,000th of an ounce of gold wedged between that. So yes, I do see a place where that fits. And let's see, math trig, 8513. Hello, Lynette, another lovely blouse. Thank you so much. Can our physical metals be placed in a trust to prevent, I don't know if that would prevent confiscation, but they can be placed in a trust. I have mine in a trust. Do you have any connections on who to go for the correct type of trust? You know what? Mark down, let me check with our attorney, and I will let the strategy specialist know. So just give us a call. I don't really want to do that so much over air, and we'll tell you what you should look for in that trust. But part of that is also going to depend on everything else that you're doing. So we can get that information to you. Just call us, and we'll make sure that we get that information to you. Emerald, I'm sure, could answer that because she's all things ops. And SQ7944 asks, what about an event in New York, please? Well, guess what? I'd love to do an event in New York. Tell Gerald he needs to do an event and have me come, because if Gerald asks me, I drop everything for him. I love him. And that's even in the town I grew up in, which was Kingston, New York. So, and my sweetheart has never been there. So that would be an opportunity. And there'd be no reason for me to go unless Gerald asked me. I'm going to be honest, there'd be no reason. I don't have any family left there. So, but it is kind of fun to do. So yes, I would love to do an event in New York. If you know any events that are going on, let us know about them, because they don't have to be investment events. We haven't done this yet, but I'll put this out there because some of you might know someone. I want to get in front of any kind of anyone, right? It can be an insurance convention or a medical convention or a women's convention or anything. So, yeah, I mean, if there's an event in New York, I am very happy to go. It can be about anything. I don't care. I'm happy to speak at them. So if anybody knows anybody, direct them my way, show them my work, and maybe I will be in New York. I have done events in New York before, so that's highly probable. And Zero Game Ends, I think I heard you say that central banks and governments enjoy inflation. They create the inflation. It's intentional inflation. But just want to keep just want to keep it manageable. So that when the central banks say, I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh yeah. Okay. You know how they're always talking about price stability. Now, you and I would think that means, well, that gallon of milk just stays the same over time. That's a stable price. It stays the same. For central banks, their definition of price stability is inflation at a low enough level, that's that 2% target, that you don't notice it enough to change your behavior. So they get to rob you, but they just don't get pushback. So that's what you're talking about there. If you skyrocket inflation, yet can still manage it to expand economy, well, that's what they're doing. And a lot of the inflation is what they present as growth. Well, yeah, growth of inflation. So you are right. I'll read the whole thing together so that it makes sense, because I kind of chopped it up. But I think I heard you say that central banks and governments enjoy inflation, but just want to keep it manageable. And yeah, put that down there again. And can this be the strategy? No, the chart, the purchasing power chart. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read the whole thing and make it small enough so they can see that loss of purchasing power over time. There you go. Keep going, keep going. There you go. Perfect. So I think I heard you say, and you just put it over the words.
Sorry.
Can you move the time? It's the time. It's not that.
you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get it.
Yeah, you will. You're doing great. Don't worry about it. You're doing great. I think I heard you say that central banks and governments enjoy inflation, but just want to keep it manageable. Can this be strategy if you skyrocket inflation, yet can still manage it to expand the economy? That's what you're looking at right there. And understand, you can leave it there for a second. I want to make that point because the only difference, and would you go to 1 year on that chart? Between inflation and hyperinflation is the speed of that inflation. So yeah, that was the plan right from the beginning. And wow, you know what? I haven't really shown them. I haven't done for this group where I showed them how money was created or how currency was created from corporate debt. So those charts that I found in that one piece, I've used pieces of it. I'll show you that. Okay. But can you see that's the inflation? And they just want to control it so that you don't fight back. Because look if you're on a gold standard and you raise taxes, well, you're going to notice and there's going to be pushback. If you're on a gold standard and you pay in your wages in gold, well, you can't pay them less. You can't pay people less because they notice. But if inflation does that job for you, but you control the rate and speed of it, you can get everything you want and nobody notices and complains and pushes back. So for governments, I mean, who gets the money when it's created first? Because at that moment in time, it has the highest level of purchasing power it's ever going to have the rest of its life. Well, it's governments and corporations. And actually, that's the wrong order. Corporations get the new money first. They also get it cheaper. Governments get the new money second, and it's more expensive. But hey, if the government's getting the money first and they're issuing that debt, who's obligated to repay that debt? Yeah, you and me. Woohoo! Taxation. Desperation. So that's it for today. All right, we'll do. Okay, okay, I will do this. Absolutely. Silver J56. Yes, Lynette, we need good precious metals people to join us. I'll call Brandon and tell him about our project, La Tierra del Sol in Nicaragua. We've never been to Nicaragua. We should go to Nicaragua. I got to go to Medellin, though, too. And I have to go to Peru. We have to go to South America. All right, we'll figure that out. But thank you so much for joining us today. You have no idea how important this is to me and how much I appreciate you being here. And I want you to know, everybody here, we work for you. And you give me a reason. And let me know if you think I'm getting better, because I really am trying. And until next we meet, without any doubt at all, together, we can do anything. We can get redeemable gold back in the global monetary system again. We'll figure it out together. And so until next we meet, please, wherever you are in the world, stay safe out there. Bye-bye.